Hey. Hello.
I was
Oh,
dancing.
dancing.
Hello.
Just dancing the night away.
I like our boogie woogie girls.
Oh, look at us. We're like twins tonight. We're like, she's got her death shirt on, or my death shirt on, and I have
Mine.
Or your death shirt.
Mhm.
We share each other's clothes.
I was gonna say that shirt's mine too, actually.
This one is not yours.
Actually, yeah, it is.
Mayhem.
Well, this one's mine.
We bought them and said, we're gonna steal them from each other anyway, so whatever.
Don't buy a Pixel. I am locked out of my main account, not because of Facebook, but because of Google.
Oh my God. If it's not one thing, it's another, I swear.
Now I have a stylist.
Now we have a stylist, and I've been drawing dicks on my phone.
What's up, Mr.
I wouldn't
Giggles?
expect any different.
What's up? Why do we not have the chat up?
Bring it up. There you go. Oh, that's weird. It was up. Oh, it updated again. That's another. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Whitechapel that is in the band, but I pretend it's the band anyway, even though I know exactly who you are.
And Saucy Jack.
Sausage Jack.
Saucy Jack.
All right. Let me do the intro real fast, and we'll get on with this. Aha.
I need to cut my bangs.
I know. I need to do the same thing.
Everyone got to see me take my boots off.
Oh, I still have my boots on. Because if you're gonna die with your boots on.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Always wear good boots for running and
keep
fighting.
raising hell.
I just kept running.
Oh no, I was more thinking Iron Maiden, but okay.
I'm always thinking Forrest Gump.
It's true. He is pretty much. Hey, Wolfman. What's up? I dropped into your feed yesterday, but I was really tired. Was it yesterday or today? I don't know. Every day is just blending together. Oh.
Yeah, this last week's been a blur.
We had the flu. An awful, terrible flu.
Yep.
So, but we're all better now. We got better.
I got better. She turned me into a newt.
Well, I got better.
I got better. Okay, it was today. Cool, yeah. So I'm tired and taking naps, but you know.
Yeah, so this is You Can't Set With Us. I'm Hex's Daemon. That's Akia Daemon, and there's Mother de la Mort. And what I was about to say Benny Hill tonight. We're gonna do Benny Hill tonight.
Betty and Barney Hill.
We need to cover Benny Hill. Actually, I'm pretty sure he had a very interesting life. Just for a
I
fun
loved
episode.
Benny Hill.
Yeah.
I'm still thinking about when they have Family Guy cutaway and it was Benny Hill, but he was young, so he caught the girl.
He caught the girls and wasn't so funny.
They're like, oh, it's not as funny when he can actually catch them. Yeah, we love them now. Love naps.
Betty and Barney Hill.
Barney, yes, Barney.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Not Benny.
Yeah, this is kind of awkward. I'm the only one stoned tonight.
Why don't you stop?
So we're talking about when Benny Hill got abducted by aliens.
Yes. I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's
by
aliens.
sexy aliens that irradiated him in Brazil. That's an actual story too, not by Benny Hill.
No, Barney.
Or yeah, I don't know.
Betty and Barney.
Betty and Barney.
So you guys might actually recognize this story from American Horror Story Asylum. In Asylum, they actually switched the ethnic backgrounds of the man and woman.
Mhm.
Yeah,
They had her.
Native American and
What?
Chinese.
Not what I meant. I said reverse switch, not change.
They went really out in Wokefield. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. I'm sorry. I love you.
Love you too. We're not going to get through this, are we?
No. I told you 5 episodes at least. We're going to get a good one. There's a lot of information here. There is going to be a couple episodes here.
Well, and it is pretty much like the
Yeah.
classic where it kind of all started with this whole abduction.
Hey, Tel,
Idea.
what's up?
So,
Tell
So yeah,
hello.
this is well, let's start. So Barney and Betty Hill were an American couple who claimed to be abducted by extraterrestrials in a rural part of the state of New Hampshire from September 19th to 20th in 1961. The incident came to be known as the Hill abduction and the Zeta Reticuli incident because 2 ufologists connected the star map shown to Betty Hill with the Zeta Reticuli system. Their story was adapted into the best-selling 1966 book, The Interrupted Journey, and NBC's 1975 television film, The UFO Incident. And as I said, this also was utilized partially for American Horror Story Asylum.
Man, I miss the old like 70s like UFO movies. Those movies were so cool. 70s and 60s. Like all the B movies and the TV movies that they had. I had so much fun watching them as a kid. I mean, in the 80s when I was a kid.
Do you know where Betty died?
No.
Portsmouth.
Portsmouth. Like in,
It's a like Portsmouth.
I'm thinking like H.P. Lovecraft. Here.
like
Yes.
like Portsmouth,
That's what I'm
like
That's exactly what I'm referring to.
yeah,
Is Lovecraft.
they're from Massachusetts,
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire. They're from New Hampshire.
Yeah, New Hampshire.
Yep.
I mean, I didn't just say it like a little bit ago or anything.
But now this actually took place in Washington State.
Well, so
Did it not?
no, it was New Hampshire.
Okay. I
This
was
was
thinking for
New
some
Hampshire.
reason they had moved to Washington State because at the time, because of their difference in ethnic backgrounds,
Well,
it
and that
still
was part of
wasn't very popular. Yeah.
That was part of the issue. They I will say something that I remember from part of this that we'll probably go into in a little bit is they even said we initially thought it was Klansmen coming for us.
Oh my gosh.
We thought that it was just people that didn't like our union.
Right.
And I say they, but the reality is this all comes from Betty
Mm-hmm.
because Barney passed pretty early.
So
Yeah.
turned out to be space racism, actually. Alien just coming to break them up.
No, it wasn't space race.
Okay.
Didn't we already have a conversation
sorry.
about this?
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. He passed in 69 at 46 and she passed in 04.
Yeah, she lived
I
a
mean,
lot longer than he did.
They did both get the information out there, but she got a lot more of it out there.
Mm-hmm.
So most of Betty Hill's notes and tapes and other items have been placed in the permanent collection at the University of New Hampshire, which was her alma mater. For those that didn't know, she was a social worker.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, this woman was not poorly educated. She was not insane. She was very, very much so there.
And describes some very vivid places.
And they were able to
Mhm.
prove that those places exist.
Yeah.
So in July of 2011, the New Hampshire Division of Historical Resources marked the site of the alleged craft's first approach with a historical marker. The Hills story was widely publicized in multiple books and movies. The Hills lived in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, which is part of why it's become so famous for so many different things. Barney was born on July 20th, 1922. Betty, which her name is actually Eunice Elizabeth Barrett when she was born.
How do you get Betty from that?
Betty is a nickname for Elizabeth.
Oh, okay.
Bet,
Yeah, that. Okay, yeah.
and Betty.
I approve.
Kind of like you get Bill out of William, which I still don't understand.
I always say Billiam.
If we ever have friends with
Billiam.
William, their names are Billiams.
I had a dog named Bill, and I would always call him Billiam.
Just like Boberto,
Billiam.
man.
Boberto.
Sorry, man, but if you're Mexican and you're my friend, your name is Bob and your name is Robert, it's Boberto from now on.
All the Bobertos. So Barney was employed by the United States Postal Service. Betty was a social worker. They were active in the local Unitarian congregation. They were members of the NAACP and community leaders. Barney sat on a local board for the United States Commission on Civil Rights. And as I've mentioned before, they're an interracial couple in a time when it was pretty uncommon in the United States. Barney was African American and Betty was white.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's, I think, one of the things about their story is they really didn't. I mean, if you think about the time and you think about, they both held pretty traditional conservative type jobs, and it wouldn't have really done them. They weren't getting anything out of the fact of coming forward. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, exactly.
Like, it would have been more of really a detriment to them than anything, I would think.
Oh, I also wanted to mention that their granddaughter is strawweight. She's a strawweight fighter, a UFC fighter currently.
Oh, wow.
Her name is Angela Hill.
Mm-hmm.
And she actually, how many times has she had the belt? I can't remember. I think she currently has it.
Oh.
Yeah. She's in strawweight right now. She was in flyweight for a little bit. She's rad. Honestly, she's like my height
Mm-hmm.
and 115 pounds. And
she's a wiry little thing.
Yeah. She's awesome. She's actually awesome. She has a Bachelor of Fine Arts, and she decided to become a professional fighter. She was an animator in an animation studio.
Oh, that's rad.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
very cool.
So let's go into the UFO encounter. Hold on, let me see these things. Barnold. Yes, Barnold.
Barnold.
Damn, that space racism.
Yep. Space racism. I'll tell you what.
Damn. So Barnold. Yes.
We
Barnold.
don't take no kindly to your kind around here in the Delta Squadron. I don't know.
In this galaxy.
In this galaxy. Squadron.
Quadrant?
Quadrant.
Is that the word you're looking for?
Something like that.
Is it Jan Quadrant 8?
Jan Quadrant 8. Oh, we're definitely binge watching some Rick and Morty later.
We have been all day.
I know.
I mean, when I'm not working. And then the walls have been binge watching it because it's been on and you've been in here.
It's on right now. I haven't turned it off.
All right. According to a variety of reports given by the Hills, the alleged UFO sighting happened about 10:30 p.m. September 19th, 1961. The Hills were driving back from Portsmouth to a vacation, from a vacation in the Niagara Falls and Montreal. Hold on. Earth is the bad part of the universe. 100%. Wolfman said, I'm convinced Earth is the bad part of the universe. Why do you think we don't get aliens? It's not because...
Yeah, it's space racism.
No. They roll their windows up when they pass by us. They do.
You just hear the banjo as
they
you go by.
Oh no, that's Earth. Ah! Lock the doors. Lock the doors. They fly by our space station.
Could you imagine if, like, I don't know, if it really did come down to it, like aliens, it probably would be space racism. No joke.
So they were just south of Lancaster, or Lancaster, as they apparently say out there, New Hampshire.
Freaking fancy ass Northerners.
It's Lancaster. Okay. Betty claimed to have observed a bright point of light in the sky that moved from just below the moon and the planet Jupiter upward to the west of the moon. While Barney investigated U.S. Route 3.
That's not a Led Zeppelin song. I don't know what it is.
Betty reasoned that she was observing a falling star, only it moved upward. Because it moved erratically and grew bigger and brighter, Betty urged Barney to stop the car for a closer look, as well as walk their dog, Delcy. Barney stopped at the scenic picnic area just south of Twin Mountain. Betty looked through binoculars, observed an odd-shaped craft flashing multicolored lights that traveled across the face of the moon. Because her sister had several years earlier said she had seen a flying saucer, Betty thought it might be what she was observing. Through the binoculars, Barney observed what he reasoned was a commercial airliner traveling toward Vermont on its way to Montreal. However, he soon changed his mind because without looking as if it had turned, the craft rapidly descended in his direction. This observation caused Barney to realize that this object was a plane was not a plane. That's actually how it quoted from him. This object that was a plane was not a plane.
Huh.
It was an unidentified flying object.
Yeah.
That's what he was trying to say.
Yeah, well, but they didn't have UFO term.
No, this is the first time.
Yeah.
This is like
This is the first incident directly after Roswell.
Yeah.
Like the first interaction, everything directly after it. Yeah.
So the Hills said that they continued driving on a quiet and isolated road, moving very slowly through Franconia knocked. Okay. In order to observe the object as it came even closer. At one point, the object passed above a restaurant and signal tower on top of Cannon Mountain. That's a cool mountain.
Yeah. Cool name.
You know what? I have been by the old man in the mountain. I didn't even know that. I remember my stepfather going, look, there's the old man in the mountain. And I was, of course, at like 17, 18 years old. I'm like, I don't see it.
I swear I've seen that. I've been to New Hampshire, so I must have seen it. It's not like New Hampshire's all that big.
I think that's where we went to the flume, too. And all you hear in that video, back when the video camcorders were like huge, they were like with those movie camcorders, and all you can hear is my stepdad like breathing in the microphone, like, and I'm just bitching the whole time.
This is snot-nosed punk.
Exactly. I was why am I up in New Hampshire at the flume?
Did you have your headphones on?
I
did. You have a Walkman?
I did. My mohawk, everything.
Roll them up, kids. Yes, exactly.
Running around behind the bathroom to smoke cigarettes and everything.
Yeah.
Leave me alone.
So Betty testified that it was at least 1.5 times the length of the granite cliff profile, which was 40 feet long. At that time, it seemed to be rotating. The couple watched as the silent, illuminated craft moved erratically and bounced back and forth in the night sky. About 1 mile south of Indian Head, they said the object rapidly descended toward their vehicle, causing Barney to stop in the middle of the highway. The huge, silent aircraft hovered about 80 to 100 feet above the hills. And they had, that's a pretty car.
Yeah.
They had a 57 Chevy Bel Air.
Nice.
Yep.
Those are the ones that were winged.
Yes.
I love those ones. In fact, there's a ride at Knott's Berry Farm that is modeled after that Chevy. It's called the accelerator, and they haven't been running it lately because a wire hit somebody.
Which
Oh,
will be
God.
discussed on another episode.
They will likely be taking it out because every
Yeah.
time somebody gets hurt, they take the ride out.
Mm.
I mean, understandably so. Somebody jumped from the parachutes. That was years ago, though. Like, those parachutes have not been there for so long now
My only question is why?
because they wanted to, because those go up really high.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Which
All
ones?
right.
The parachutes that are no longer there.
Yeah, I don't do the drops.
Well, the parachutes, you were never locked into anything. You were just in this like square bucket almost. Like there were no seats. You stood there. I would always sink down to the bottom and hold on to the side of the cage. And they like you drop, so you have to hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's probably why they took it out, not just because the person that jumped.
Oh, we have cupcakes.
Okay.
oh, and I have the other half of that wrap too.
Okay.
So
again, the aircraft hovered about 100 feet over their 57 Chevy Bel Air and filled the entire field view of the windshield. It reminded Barney of a huge pancake. Using the binoculars, Barney claimed to have seen 8 to 11 humanoid figures who were peering out of the craft's windows. They seemed to look at him. And in unison, all but one figure moved what appeared to be a panel on the rear wall of the hallway that encircled the front portion of the craft. The one remaining figure continued to look at Barney and communicated a message telling him to stay where you are and keep looking.
Space racism.
Barney had a recollection of observing the humanoid forms wearing glossy black uniforms and black caps. Red lights on what appeared to be batwing fins began to telescope out of the sides of the craft, and a long structure descended from the bottom of the craft.
Batwings? You said my ex was there?
Okay, I knew you were going to do that. I'm trying to get through this. The silent craft approached to what Barney estimated was within 50 to 80 feet overhead and 300 feet like away, like in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
Barney, fearing being captured by these creatures, ran back to the car, terrified. As the hills sped away, they heard a strange beeping sound and they fell into a daze. When they awoke, they realized they were now just outside of Concord. On October 21st, 1961, Barney reported to National Investigations Committee on Aerial Phenomena, investigator Walter Webb, and that begins, and that the beings, were somehow not human. So I guess we'll go into the aftermath.
You want to go real fast, or
who else is in here?
Simbu and them came in.
Hey, Simbu, what's up?
Hello.
And them.
Hello.
Oh. No, it's just him. Yeah. Yeah, it was just Simbu.
An oil painting to the All Mother. That's awesome. So, immediate aftermath, arriving home at about dawn, the Hills stated that they had some odd sensations and impulses they could not readily explain. Betty insisted her luggage be kept near the back door rather than in the main part of the house. Their watches would never work again. Barney said that the leather strap for the binoculars were torn. Though he couldn't recall ever tearing it. The toes of his best dress shoes were scraped. Barney says he was compelled to examine his genitals in the bathroom, but he found nothing unusual. They took long showers to remove possible contamination. And each drew a picture of what they saw.
He's like, woo!
It's still there.
Are the family jewels still there?
Perplexed, the Hills say they tried to reconstruct a chronology of the events that they witnessed, the UFO that drove, and the drive home. But immediately after they heard the buzzing sounds, their memories became incomplete and fragmented. After sleeping a few hours, Betty awoke and placed the shoes and clothes she had worn during the drive into her closet, observing that the dress was torn at the hem and zipper lining. Later, when she retrieved the items from her closet, she noted a pink powder on her dress. She hung the dress on her clothesline and the pink powder blew away. But the dress was irreparably damaged. She ended up throwing it away, but then changed her mind and retrieved the dress and hung it in her closet. For years, 5 labs have conducted chemical and forensic analysis on that dress. There were shiny concentric circles on their car's trunk that had not been there the previous day. Betty and Barney experimented with a compass, noting that when they moved it close to the spots, the needle would whirl rapidly. But when they moved it a few inches away, the shiny spots would drop down. From like
So in other words,
from
it'd
the shiny
probably
spots.
normalize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Walter N. Webb, a Boston astronomer and NICAP member, met with the Hills on October 21st, 1961. In a 6-hour interview, the Hills related all they could remember of the UFO encounter. Barney stated that he had developed a mental block and that he suspected there were some portions of the event that he did not wish to remember. He described in detail that he could remember about the craft and the appearance of the somehow not human figures on board. Webb stated that they were telling the truth and the incident probably occurred exactly as reported, except for some minor uncertainties and technicalities that must be tolerated in such observations where human judgment is involved. Meaning like exact time, length of visibility, the size of the objects and the occupants and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So Betty's dreams, 10 days after the alleged UFO encounter, Betty began having a series of vivid dreams, which for 5 successive nights, which continued for 5 successive nights. She stated that she experienced them with a degree of detail and intensity that she had never had before. After the 5th night, they stopped and never recurred, though they occupied her thoughts during the day. When she mentioned them to Barney, he was sympathetic but not too concerned, and the matter was dropped. Betty did not mention them to Barney again. He probably was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah. He pretty much.
Yeah,
was like,
he sounds kind of like, I mean, not saying there's anything wrong with it, but just people handle things differently. And some people would rather just put it behind them and just not talk about it. And that just to me, that's the impression I get of Barney.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to remember seeing an alien with bigger junk than me either.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be in any type of situation that I can't remember that makes me feel like I need to go and check my genitals to make sure they're still there.
Show me your genitals.
Maybe they
your
tried
genitals.
every which way to like, dissect or do whatever to his genitals, but his genitals were so powerful that it just destroyed their instruments, so they just let it go.
See, this is why they needed a trunk monkey, the alien edition.
Yes, they do. Tick a tweet. That's all it was. Tick a tweet. They got all this wrong. It was just that.
Yeah.
It was just a cute alien trying to trick or treat, and then they freaked out and ran, and they don't remember most of it because they like dissociated or some shit. I don't know. So in November of 61, Betty began writing down the details of her dreams. In one dream, she and Barney encountered a roadblock and men who surrounded their car. She lost consciousness but struggled to regain it. Then she realized that she was being forced by 2 small men to walk in the forest. And seeing and remembering Barney walking behind her, though when she called to him, he seemed to be in a trance or sleepwalking. The men stood about 5 feet to 5'4" in height and wore matching blue uniforms.
So about your height.
Yeah.
A little higher, taller than me.
They're 4 apples high.
Yeah.
They're 4 apples.
They apparently were wearing blue uniforms with caps similar to those worn by military cadets. They appeared nearly human with black hair, dark eyes, prominent noses, and bluish lips. Their skin was kind of a gray color. Yeah, I've heard the grays were dicks.
Well, they got to see Dick that night. I'll tell you what.
She and Barney were taken to their car where the leader suggested that they wait to watch the craft's departure. So they did. And then they resumed their drive home. That was her dream. Missing time. Having Webb's initial report, Jackson and Homan had many questions for the Hills. One of them being the length of their trip. Although the Hills had noted that they had arrived home later than anticipated, the 178-mile drive should have taken about 4 hours. They did not realize that they had arrived home 7 hours after their departure. When
Wow,
Homan
that's
and
a long
Jackson,
time.
that's a 3-hour difference there.
Yeah.
When Homan and Jackson noticed this discrepancy to the Hills, the couple had no explanation. The Hills claimed to recall almost nothing of the 35 miles of U.S. Route 3 between Lincoln and Indian Head, or Lincoln/Indian Head and Ashland. Both claimed to recall an image of a fiery orb sitting on the ground. Betty and Barney reasoned that it must have been the moon. But Homan and Jackson,
anytime I see a glowing orb sitting on the ground, I always assume it's the moon.
right?
Yeah.
Totally. Homan and Jackson informed them that the moon had set earlier in the evening.
The moon is an object in the sky, ma'am.
Fusroda. Barney's junk gave the alien machines a Fusroda.
Actually, it turns out this is the first time they did shrooms.
Unrelenting force. Yes, I am that big of a nerd. I love Skyrim. That's what Fusroda is. It's unrelenting force.
Mhm.
Betty and Barney got smurfed. That's smurfing crazy, guys.
Smurfed him hard.
The subject of hypnosis came up, and it was decided that it should be carried out in order to recover previously irretrievable memories. Barney was apprehensive, but thought it might help Betty put to rest what Barney has described as the nonsense about her dreams.
Oh, yeah, he's totally one of those kind that's like,
Yeah.
it didn't happen. It
No,
didn't happen.
Never
Didn't
happened.
happen.
Nope.
There's no
Never
alien that
happened.
played with my
Nope.
junk and touched my butthole.
I didn't get diddled.
Nope, I did not get fondled in a spaceship. I didn't get lured.
That's what it
there.
probably all stems from.
Space fondling.
I didn't get lured
Yes.
there with space candy onto a
Dang, Gargamel's an alien now? Yes. Gargamel is definitely an alien. Alien.
just a space van is what it was. Just showed up on Earth. It just
Great
That space fan down by the Milky Way.
In the Great Space Coaster.
I
Okay,
don't know.
dude, we need to find our way back to that fish skeleton.
What are you talking about?
Family Guy.
Oh.
When they were doing the Great Space Coaster thing, but then they got lost.
Oh, okay.
And the kids all, because he's all, damn, we're lost. And the kids all, on the Great Space Coaster. He's like, no more. So on November 23rd, 1962. Oh, wow. 1 year.
Yep.
Exactly 1 year.
Mhm.
Completely different state, but 1 year. I just want you guys to figure out what I'm talking about because they know. The Hills
Wait.
attended a meeting. You don't?
No.
Kennedy was assassinated on November 23rd, 1963.
Oh, hey, did you know that Kennedy
Wow.
was assassinated on a year prior?
A year later.
A year later, I mean.
This is where the babushka comes in.
Right? The babushka was there somehow.
The babushka.
So on November 23rd, 1962, the Hills attended a meeting at the parsonage of their church where Captain Ben H. Sweat of the United States Air Force was a guest speaker. Having had an interest in hypnosis, the Hills approached Sweat privately and related their strange encounter. Sweat was particularly interested in the missing time of the Hills account. The Hills asked if he would hypnotize them to recover their memories, but Sweat declined and cautioned them against going to an amateur hypnotist such as himself. So, here are the two sessions. Barney, under hypnosis with Dr. Benjamin Simmons, or Simons, I don't know. I think Simons. As
Simons,
was
yeah.
consistent with his conscious recall. Barney reported that the binocular strap had broken when he ran from the UFO back to his car. He recalled driving the car away from the UFO, but afterwards he felt irresistibly compelled to pull off the road and drive into the woods. He eventually sighted 6 men standing on the dirt road. The car stalled, and 3 of the men approached the car. Barney described the beings as being generally similar to Betty's hypnotic recollection. He said the beings stared into his eyes with terrifying, mesmerizing effect. Under hypnosis, Barney said, "Oh, those eyes. They're in my brain," from his first hypnosis session. And then the second session, he said, "I was told to close my eyes because I saw 2 eyes coming close to mine, and I felt like the eyes had pushed into my eyes."
He
All I
really
see-
has a hard time describing things, doesn't he?
Yeah. All I see are these eyes. I'm not even afraid that they're not connected to a body. They're just there. They're just up close to me, pressing against mine. While Betty reported...
Well, that's not terrifying.
Yeah. Betty reported a conversation with the leader in English. Barney said that he heard them speaking in a mumbling language he didn't understand. Betty also mentioned this detail. The few times they communicated with him, Barney said it seemed to be through thought transference. At that time, he was unfamiliar with the word telepathy.
Huh.
But he knew thought transference.
Yeah, that's the thing about this couple is that they legitimately didn't have any experiences with any of this stuff.
Yeah.
And yet they're
and there weren't
describing
really even words to describe it.
Well, like the telepathy thing, they're like he's describing something that he didn't know anything about, legitimately didn't know about, but other people didn't know about, and that's what is kind of like adding some truth to this.
Betty's sessions,
right?
Under hypnosis, Betty's account was similar to her 5 dreams about the UFO abduction, with some notable differences, mainly pertaining to her capture and release. Although the technology on the craft was different. The short men differed significantly in physical appearance, and the sequential order of the abduction differed. Barney and Betty's memories in hypnotic regression were, however, consistent with one another. Conclusion: when the series of hypnosis sessions were complete, Simon wrote an article about the Hills for the Journal of Psychiatric Opinion. Explaining his conclusion that the case was singular psychological aberration. So he's trying to say, oh no, they imagined it.
Yeah.
Really? So post-hypnosis, publicity, and Barney and Betty's death. The Hills went back to their regular lives. They were willing to discuss the UFO encounter with friends, family, and occasional UFO researcher, but the Hills apparently made no effort to seek publicity.
Yeah.
On October 25th, 1965, a front page story in the Boston Traveler asked UFO Chiller, did they seize couple? Reporter John H. Luttrell of the Traveler had allegedly been given an audio tape recording of the lecture the Hills had made in Quincy Center in the late 1963. Luttrell learned that the Hills had undergone hypnosis with Simon. He also obtained notes from confidential interviews the Hills had given to UFO investigators. On October 26th, United Press International picked up Luttrell's story, and the Hills earned international attention. In 1966, writer John G. Fuller secured the cooperation of the Hills and Simons and wrote the book, The Interrupted Journey, about the case. The book included a copy of Betty's sketch of the star map. The book was quickly a success and went through several prints. On February 25th, 1969, at the age of 46, Barney died from a cerebral hemorrhage.
Oh.
After which Betty went on to become a celebrity of the UFO community. Betty never remarried. She passed away at the age of 85 from cancer on October 17th, 2004.
Wow. Wow, she lived a long, long life.
Yeah.
She did. And I always wondered, I guess neither one of them, well, I don't know. I mean, maybe Barney, but neither one of them seemed to have any type of repercussions of if they had have actually come in contact with some sort of alien, like an alien encounter, there weren't any type of health problems afterwards.
Well,
Which
I
in
mean,
some of these that you read about, people actually do have health problems afterwards.
A lot of
actually,
it's
both of them could have because she had
radiation.
cancer.
Yeah, the radiation is the
True.
main. A lot
And
of. I'm sorry.
his was a cerebral hemorrhage pretty
Yeah.
early. I mean, these would
Yeah,
be
his was
delayed,
super
obviously.
early. Yeah.
A lot of people who come in contact with legitimately do come in contact with aliens. They have the radiation burns, stuff like
Alien.
that. One of the
Mhm.
stories I think we were talking about covering. Well, I don't want to go into detail about it, but it's the interaction that people had with them. They literally had radiation poisoning.
Yeah, that's one that I remember as well. I think it was a family or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was
One of
coming
them was
back from somewhere.
something like that, and then there was another one with a farmer that had an interaction with a specific way with an alien.
Yeah.
And then he ended up having a radiation poisoning from it, but that's a long one too.
Yeah.
Well, in 1968, Marjorie Fish of Oak Harbor, Ohio, of course it's Ohio, read Fuller's book, Interrupted Journey. Fish was an elementary school teacher and an amateur astronomer. She was intrigued by the star map, so she was wondering if she might be able to decipher it to determine which star system the UFO came from. Assuming that one of the 15 stars on the map must represent Earth's sun, Fish constructed a three-dimensional model of nearby sun-like stars. Using thread and beads basing stellar distances on those published in the 1969 Gliese star catalog. Studying thousands of vantage points over the years, the only one that seemed to match the Hill map was from the viewpoint of the double star system of Zeta Reticuli. Reticuli. I can't say it.
I can't say it either. I just think of
Reticuli.
pasta.
Yeah.
Reticuli.
Yeah, reticuli, because I see reticulum.
Reticuli.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reticuli. There you go.
Yep. So that's about 39 light years away from Earth.
Yeah, it's not too far.
Well,
We'll
in
get there.
comparison, actually, it's really not.
Nah, seriously, we will be there in a minute.
39 years
39.
at light speed.
Yeah.
So Fish sent her analysis to Webb, agreeing with her conclusions. Webb sent the map to Terence Dickinson, editor of the magazine Astronomy. Dickinson did not endorse Fish and Webb's conclusions, but for the first time in the journal's history, Astronomy invited comments and debate on the UFO report, starting with an opening article in the December 1974 issue. For about a year afterwards, the opinions page of Astronomy carried arguments for and against Fish's star map. Notable was an argument made by Carl Sagan. Yes, that Carl Sagan, by the way.
Dun, dun, dun.
And Stephen Soder, who was an astrophysicist, arguing that the star map was a little more than random alignment of chance points. In an episode of Cosmos in 1980, Sagan demonstrated that without the lines drawn on the map, the Hill map bore no resemblance to a real life map. In contrast, those more favorable to the map, such as David Saunders who was a
Statistician.
Yeah, that statistician. My brain is not working. Who had been on the Condon UFO study?
Sure.
Disagreed.
I disagree.
He disagrees. I disagree.
I disagree.
Saunders claimed that a match among 16 stars of the specific spectral type among the thousands of stars nearest the sun is at least 1,000 to 1 against. In the early 90s, the European Hippocros, it was a high precision parallax collecting satellite. So the European Hippocrates mission, which measured the distance to more than 100,000 stars and around the sun more accurately than had previously been done before, showed that some of the stars in Fish's interpretation of the map were much farther away than previously thought. Other research revealed that some stars counted by Fish as likely to host life would have to be excluded by her own criteria, while some other stars, which had been discounted by Fish to have been recognized as potential abodes for life. Results such as these led Fish herself to reject her hypothesis in a public statement. So, I mean, it's a cool picture, though.
Yeah. Watch when we finally do meet aliens, and we're gonna find out it's true. 100% true.
Hold on. Interrupted journey. I'm trying to take my shoe off. Sorry. Ow! I think I pulled something doing that.
Uh-oh.
That hurt. The 1966 publication of Interrupted Journey by John G. Fuller details much of the Hill's claims. Excerpts from the book were published in Look magazine. Captured the Betty and Barney Hill UFO experience by Betty Hill's niece, Kathleen Marden, further explored Fuller's themes along with scientist Stanton T. Friedman. Marden, who sat on the board of the Mutual UFO Network, or MUFON, for 10 years.
Which is still around today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think it's funny. MUFON. For 10 years, knew Betty well and had spoken with her at great length about the encounter. This is long.
Well, we can go ahead and stop right now.
Well, there's somebody that basically refutes all of this.
Yeah, we're going to get into all that.
And I think we should probably save that for another time.
That'll be next week's.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yep.
So, we're going to talk next week about Jim McDonald rebuting the Hills count, and basically how he just didn't believe her when he saw her speak. And yeah.
I still go back to, in a lot of these situations, what is the person going to get out of it? You know, like there's some situations, like when you hear about these things coming out, where you're like, okay, well, they were looking for fame, or they were looking for attention, or they were looking for a book deal, or, you know, whatever. But it's some of the ones that you like, there was nothing they could have gotten from this.
Yeah, they didn't get
at
anything
this
out of
time.
this. They didn't get
No.
anything out of it.
She only became somewhat of a UFO celebrity later on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, she still didn't make money off that.
Nope.
It's an interesting story.
Yeah, I think it's really
So
cool.
I am curious to see why certain people would say that it was a bunch of hogwash.
Well, apparently there's drawings of that Barney Hill did under hypnosis.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little South Parky.
Yeah, it is.
It's
more stuff we'll get into next time.
But I mean,
well, he had a
again-
hard time explaining things. He used to say he doesn't have a hard time drawing them either.
Oh, he certainly does. It's quite something. But yeah. And with that,
All right.
they're all just alien insurance salesmen.
Yeah.
With Steve Hart. They want to talk to us about our planet's extended warranty.
Pretty much.
They've been trying to reach you.
Yes.
What if it all turns out to be just like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe? Have you ever seen that? It's a fun movie.
I did, but it was such a long time ago.
Yeah.
But it was good.
They just blow up the planet. We have to like just hitch a ride on spaceships just to stay alive. On that note, all right, guys. We'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
I don't know, set the world on fire. I don't know. mine. I have a